Hey guys, it's Anthony, and want to give you a update today. I am sitting here in the house because we had a little bit of snow. It's going to continue snowing for the next several hours and possibly into tomorrow. One of the things that I have learned is that being in a wheelchair with snow is not always the best thing, and when you have a powered chair or two or three that have, and I have three that have issues right now, it is sometimes a little bit complicated as is, and worse when you have struggles as is. I've got one chair that's lucky to stay charged for 10-15 minutes of actual use, even if you charge it for 24 hours straight. The battery's not showing dead, it just stops working. I've got another one that I'm driving right now that the battery lasts a little longer, but the tires are bald. And the reason for that is because for a long period of time I actually drove it on the road, going into town and to the post office, to the store, to the coffee shop and stuff, just simply because it was easier than trying to load into the van that I used to have, that after I loaded the chair in the back with the crane, I would have to walk to the driver's seat, get in, and then walk to the back to unload. And I was falling about 1 out of every 7 or 8 times when I would make the walk. But the new van that my wife and I purchased, I can actually just drive right into the van. The only problem is that when you have few inches of snow out there, the footrest on the chair works like a snow plow or snow shovel, and your feet get covered with snow. And I do like the cold weather to some level, but like I told a lot of people yesterday, I said, heat is not a friend for me with MS. Causes me to have a weakened state. I lose being able to speak clearly, lose my eyesight at about 78 to 80 degrees of constant heat, but at the same time, cold is not good for me because I have several injuries from back in 1988 and a little before. I used to be a whole lot thinner than what I am now, and my weight gain is not from being paralyzed or crippled up and restricted to a wheelchair, but years ago I had a major accident that caused me to go and deal with pain with alcohol, and I gained probably about 400 pounds on top of the 200 pounds I was. I was 625 at one point, and I lost 325 pounds, and they think that the way I lost it being a pure protein diet. I eat no carbs, no vegetables, no bread, no pasta, rice, nothing. I barely ate vegetables. And the vegetables I ate were the ones that were super low in carbohydrates. But they think that is what made the multiple sclerosis be more evident. It's not what caused it. It's not. They say that high protein diets don't really cause anything, but I've also read that high protein diets go and feed the MS. I don't know what to believe, but I know that during that weight loss, I lost 325 pounds in 1 year, and it kills me because at 625 pounds, I moved better than what I do today. And I have gained some of it back because of my inability to move or to exercise and stuff. And yeah, I know you can control it with diet, but let's face it, sometimes you just want to eat. And the other downside is that I am kind of stuck trying to go and not only feed myself, but I also have to feed my wife, who she does not, and she did for years. She ate a lot of the stuff that I did, but at the same time she also ate regular stuff. And with her being the one that's working, I have to go and make sure that she is getting what she needs to go and function. And it's not easy for me to cook 2 meals like I used to be able to at the same time. I do a lot of the cooking. I don't do all of it anymore. I am thankful that my wife does cook and everything. She's never been a huge cook, where I've always been a big cook. That was one of the things that I can say that my mother went and did. She raised 3 boys, and she taught all 3 of us how to cook and how to cook well. She didn't teach us just what she knew. She put us with an Italian woman and man that taught us how to cook. She put us with a Chinese woman and a Greek man, and taught us how to cook their style. She taught us how to cook German, and she figured that all 3 of us would probably be 40 or 50 before we ever found somebody that would put up with us and marry us. Well, we were actually all 3 married at 18. All 3 of us married girls who could not cook. Consequently, my wife did learn to cook, and my next brother up, his wife learned to cook. My oldest brother, his second wife, she could cook, but his first wife, well, it's one of the reasons why they didn't make it. But the thing is outside we have a beautiful layer of snow. Snow is still coming down. It's going to be snowing all day long. And I will be kind of sitting back, just chilling inside, not worrying about going outside. My wife had to be at work at the hospital at 7 a.m. She's a registered nurse, and she left at about 6:05. She normally doesn't leave until about 6:35, because it's only about a 10-minute drive if she hits every light. But her knowing, because she grew up in places that snowed most of her life, and she learned to drive when she was out in Colorado, and she learned to drive in the snow, which I am thankful for. She got there to hospital, and she says, I drove slow. I got here. Roads are not good. And the worst part is there will be people that have lived here all of their life, here in Western North Carolina, that think that they know how to drive in it, and they will get in wrecks. And it's a sad thing. I hope that people will stay off the roads. But you know how people are. People don't do what they should do. But the combination of the fact that it's cold outside, so I've got the heat on inside, and heat is not good for the MS, and it is a struggle. But at the same time, cold is not good for me because of the injuries that I have from back in the 80s, between car accident and when I was fighting for a living, doing the Badman contest. Me and 6 guys, we traveled around, and we used to go and get into the ring 2 times a week. Worst part was, a lot of times, 6 of us guys were fighting each other. But because of injuries from that and injuries from the car accident, I get the joy of cold making the arthritis and the injuries and the damage not feel quite so good. But needless to say, I will stay inside where not getting moist, don't have to fight with the snow, don't have to risk the crazy people who don't know how to drive on the snow, and I will go and put myself into a category that I am somewhere between not being well equipped at it and that I know how. Growing up in Florida, I didn't grow up in snow. I grew up in hurricanes, and we did learn to drive in it, but when my wife and I moved here to the North Carolina back in 98, I did go and intentionally learn to drive in the snow and ice, but you still don't want to risk it because there's a lot of people that don't, and frankly, it's better to not be out there and to let the people that are clearing the roads and the emergency vehicles have the roads, and the people that have to be there. So, one of the things that I have learned is do as much as you can when you can. Push yourself, but don't be silly. Or as I would say, don't be stupid. And, it's not a loving way to say it, but the truth is that there's a lot of people that do things that they really ought to be smart enough not to do. And unfortunately, there's a lot of things that I do that I should be smart enough not to do, but I still do them. Bottom line is that I am going to push forward, but I'm going to push forward inside the house. Today I've got a bunch of paperwork that I've got to get done for an appointment that I have tomorrow that probably won't happen because their office will not be open. At least I'm wagering that they won't be. And I don't know when I'm going to be able to make the appointment after that because I have doctor's appointments and appointments to get my chair repaired so that I can actually get around. So, bottom line is that I am going to push forward. I am going to keep moving forward. I'm not going to stop. I am still sitting here. It's a little bit over 45 days since I've had my Tysabri infusion, which Blue Cross Blue Shield said that they were not going to go and pay for because of me having a positive strand of the JC virus, which I have had a positive strand since my second infusion, and I've signed off of saying I will risk getting PML, which is a not good thing. Best way it was described to me is that it gives you about 6 weeks to 6 months to live if you get it. And frankly, I signed off on a waiver because I told the doctor, death is better than MS. But that's not the only thing I have to look at. I do have to look at the fact that my wife doesn't want me to leave, but at the same time, my wife also knows the struggles that I have. We had a pest control person come out and do a treatment in our house that we went and stayed at a hotel this past week, and I could not get into the bed. One, because it was so high. Second, because the bed was so soft, and that causes pain for me too. And I had to sleep in my power chair. And that kind of upset her, and at the same time, my wife loves me very much. I love her very much, but she also knows that and agrees with me sometimes that death would be better than the MS. Or just complete healing, which at this point, unless God does it, and God can, but I do believe that He is choosing to use me with the MS. Because there are a lot of men in the ministry I'm involved with doing prison ministry that will talk to me, that will listen to me, because I'm very not threatening. I am the guy in a wheelchair. So, if it's God's plan for me to stay here and He wants to continue using me, that's great. If He wants to heal me, that's awesome. If He wants to take me home, I'm willing to go and ready to go. I've given my life to Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. But at the same time, I also would like to sit here and watch my grandkids grow up. I would like to be able to stay here and get old with my wife. we're not old. We're just in our late 40s. And, yeah, come June this coming year in 2019, we will have been married for 30 years because we were babies when we got married. 6 days after she graduated high school. But I will tell you that whatever it is, I intend to continue pushing forward until the Lord says it's time for me to go home. I can depart this place, but I don't foresee that in the very near future. So meanwhile, I get to go and push forward. And I hope that you do. And as you're pushing forward, that you pursue Christ. If you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, that you will continue to push for a closer and to grow more and more in the direction that He's called you. Be blessed. And remember, Romans 5:8 says, "For while we were yet sinners, Christ came and died for us." I like my translation in my words, the New Anthony translation. "For while I was still a filthy, disgusting pig, Christ gave His life for me." Talk to you guys later on.